What is up, guys? Welcome back to Wild Rift University, and today we're going to do a cool topic, something a little bit more fun. We're going to talk about what are the best champions to one trick. And we're not going to talk about this in a way of like, oh, this is the best champion to carry on. We're going to more so talk about it in like, if you could only play one champion, what champions would be the best champions that would be able to cover the most amount of roles in a legitimate way. Okay, I'm going to throw more than just my opinion, my top four, because I have four champions that I believe are the most versatile champions in the entire game. And I'm only going to feature champions in this that can do at least three roles. But there's only four champions, in my opinion, that legitimately can play four roles. And there's a couple that are, in my opinion, you can argue that, yeah, they could do four roles, but they're really more like a three-role champion. But you could technically argue four roles. Any champion that can only do one role or two roles will be completely left out in this list, and we're just going to go through. But in my opinion, the four champions that can play four roles, if you are going to one-trick one champion, one of these champions would be the best champ to do it, not because they're the best champions in the game, but because it gives you the most versatility, and basically no matter what lane you accidentally get stuck in, you have a champion that can technically be viable for that lane. So the first one we're going to talk about is Yone. Yone is a great champion. He can be played in the mid lane. He can be played in the top lane. He can be played in the jungle. So in my opinion, he's really a three-lane champion. But there are light situations where you could say you could play him ADC. I don't think it's a very viable option for him, but there are light situations where he could be. But to me, Yone is a three-lane champion, so still a very strong champion if you were going to one-trick. Next one, Gwen. Gwen, to me, is a three-lane champion. She's a good top laner. She's a decent jungler. She's an okay mid. I've seen Gwen ADC one time, but to me, Gwen is really a three-lane champion as well. And then, I don't really agree with this. Pyke, to me, is a two-lane champion. But I'm going to say it real fast just because I have seen people do top Pyke. I don't think it's good. I don't think it's viable. I think he's a two champ, but I'll throw him in there just for some people. Nautilus is another great one. Nautilus can play top, Nautilus can play support, and Nautilus can also be a jungler, a true three-lane champion. Echo is another great one. A lot of people say, well, Echo only two lanes. What do you mean? So this is somewhere where it really hasn't caught up on. It will catch up eventually, but Echo top is a real thing. Right now, you only see it in the mid lane, and you only see it in the jungle. But eventually, kids will learn how to play Echo top. It's just a matter of time. I've been playing League of Legends since Season 3 of PC. It's a viable pick. I wouldn't say it's the greatest pick, but it is a viable pick as well. But a true three-laner, or I guess you'd say a true two-laner, but he will be a true three-laner eventually. You'll see Echo top will be a thing eventually in the game once people learn how to do it. Karma, to me, is a 3 to 4 laner. The 4 laner is really only if you're doing like a mage bot, which you could argue she's the ADC, or you could argue she's the support, but she is a true mid laner. Karma top is another thing that was done on PC as well, which I believe people will learn how to play it here as well. Tank Karma is it's actually pretty strong if you learn how to play it properly. And also, just to let you guys know, I'm not saying these are like the best champions. I'm just saying, like, in the event if you could only play one champion, a champion that can fill these roles. So like there's a Tank Karma, which was something that was really popular on PC for a while. I believe a lot of these PC things will eventually come to Wild Rift as well. But you could technically top Karma, mid Karma, support Karma, and AD carry Karma if you're doing a mage bot lane as well. Shen is a debatable one. To me, really just a two-laner, but I have seen people play Shen support, so you got Shen jungle is a real thing now with some of the upgrades they've made to him. Shen top, and then Shen support, not very good, but technically it's something that you could do. Set, to me, a 2, potentially 3. So you can top lane set, you can jungle set. It's not as good as it used to be. And some people do play support set. I don't think it's really that great or super viable, but I'll be thrown in there as like one of those wild cards. Next one, we have Morgana. This is a true 3-laner. She can mid, she can jungle, and she can support. Really great champion to one trick. One of my favorite champions, one of my best champions as well. And here comes our first 4-lane champion. You probably may have known it already, Jace. Jace can top, Jace can jungle, Jace can mid, and actually Jace, you can build him like a full-on ADC if you wanted to. Once again, these are not like 100% viable, but if you were a one-trick Jace and you got filled ADC and you had no idea how to play any other ADCs, you technically could play Jace and build him more like an ADC as well. So he's our first 4-lane champion, in my opinion. Next, you have Akshan, who's a 2-3-laner. I don't really like Akshan top, but it is a thing. A lot of people do it. So you have Akshan top, Akshan mid, Akshan ADC. Next one, you have Lucian. Lucian top, Lucian mid, Lucian ADC. Like I said, I don't like Lucian top at all, but it is definitely something that people do. But like I said, I am not a fan of it. Riven's another one that you could technically 3-lane. She can top, she can jungle, and she can mid. I don't think she's the best mid, but she is definitely viable if you were playing it as well. Aurelia is another good one. Now, they did just nerf Aurelia jungle. It's still possible. It's just not as good. But you can Aurelia top, Aurelia jungle, and Aurelia mid as well. So another good one. Galio, in my opinion, another great champion to one trick. A very true good 3-laner. Very solid 3-laner as well. I think they're all viable. Galio top, Galio mid, and Galio support. All really good. Galio's top is probably the weakest of the 3, but you know, if you're going to get an AP top, it's super strong. Diana, another good 3-laner, top, mid, and jungle. This brings us to our next 4-lane champion. Pantheon can go top, Pantheon can jungle, Pantheon can mid, and you can do a kill lane Pantheon support as well. Pantheon mid and Pantheon support aren't super common, but believe it or not, a lot of people don't try this, but Pantheon absolutely craps on a lot of mid laners, and it's actually kind of surprising to me that a lot of people don't realize how good Pantheon is into so many mid laners. And then Pantheon support was actually a real popular thing on PC if you're a PC fan as well for a little while. It's definitely a kill lane also. So there's kind of one right there. And then just for fun, because technically yes, but I think it's kind of just bullcrap, Teemo. Teemo can technically top. Teemo can technically mid. Teemo can technically be an ADC. And some people even play Teemo support. I think Teemo support is beyond troll. But, I mean, technically Teemo is one of those champions as well. Kennen, to me, a true 2-laner. But if you've played PC, you would know that Kennen ADC at one time was a thing. But really, top, mid, and Kennen ADC still wait to be seen in Wild Rift. Lulu is another one, actually. I would say a true 2-laner. In Wild Rift right now, she's really only been seen as a single laner. But believe it or not, on the PC version, which I believe one day people will kind of realize, Lulu, you could actually almost say Lulu could 4-lane. So ADC Lulu, if you've never tried it, is really strong. I'm not saying, once again, this is viable, but it is something that could be done. It's something that was done on PC. But try ADC Lulu one time if you just want to try something for fun in PC on your PvPs. But Lulu support, Lulu ADC, you could Lulu mid, and Lulu top used to be broken on PC. I believe that one day we'll see that as well in this game. Now I'm going to skip a couple as well and move down. Next one we have Yasuo. I think a true 2-laner, top and mid. Not a good top in my opinion, but it is a doable. Mid is really where he belongs. But some people do play him ADC. And actually, Yasuo ADC in some comps is actually really, really good. So I think he's a flexible 2-3 laner as well. These are all a bunch of just 2-lane champions. Here comes our next 4-lane champion, Malphite. Again, I think Malphite is probably one of the best champions to one trick because one, he can be a top lane tank, or he can also go hybrid damage. He can be a mid lane one-shot champion. He can jungle, not the greatest jungler, but he can jungle and he has pretty decent ganks, and he's a support. Malphite, great champion to one trick because he works in all team comps as well. Kind of like Galio as well, works in all team comps. Really, there's not really a team comp where Malphite doesn't work well. Next one, you have Gragas. Such a slept-on champion in Wild Rift. I don't understand, but so versatile. This champ can do everything. He can top lane, he can tank, he can hybrid, he can bruiser, he can full damage, he can jungle, he can mid. Gragas support was actually a thing on PC as well. It is viable because, look, you got a knock-up stun with his dash, you have a slow with his barrel, and then you have a knock-up for or you have an engage or disengage with his ult. Viable for support as well. Great champion. That I still don't understand why people don't play Gragas more. I think it's just because he's a weird-looking champion. Is why people don't play him. I don't know. He's just a weird-looking champion. But to me, guys, those are the best champions to one trick. And just to go over the champions that I think are true 4-laners, Gragas, Malphite, and then once again, I would say Pantheon. And then I would say, where'd he go? Jace. I think these champions for sure can be played in 4 different roles. Once again, I'm not saying these are the best champions to climb with. I'm saying that if you could only technically play one champion, and if you got put in any role, what champions would give you the best chance to actually be viable in any role that you got played in. And I don't believe there's a single champ in the game that can play all 5 roles and actually be viable. Obviously, you could force anything to happen, but to a point to where it's playable in a way that's actually viable. And that's where I'm talking about. I'm not saying that it's A tier or S tier or even B tier. Maybe some of these are C tier or high D tier, but it can be played in a viable way. I don't think there's a single champion in the game that is viable in all 5 roles, but I believe those 4 are viable. Malphite probably the most so viable in all 4 roles. So in some ways you could say Malphite's the best champion to one trick because he's a truly viable top. Well, I guess you can't say truly because I wouldn't say he's a truly viable jungler or a truly viable mid. He is a doable mid, a doable jungle, viable top, viable support. Jace is a viable top, viable jungle, viable mid, doable ADC. Pantheon is I would say Pantheon's pretty viable top, viable mid, viable jungle, doable support as well. So, yeah. Anyways, guys, those are my opinions. Kind of just a short, fun video. Let me know what your guys' thoughts are. Do you think there is a champion that works in all 5 roles that's actually viable? And not just like you can force it to happen, but it's actually like, hey, this actually works in a team comp. Let me know what your guys' thoughts are, and I'll see you guys in the next video.